How you doing, everyone? This is Sanakori. Just waiting for some people to come on. It's 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For all you people who downloaded this show in the future, thank you for being here. Just sound check, sound check. If anyone's in the chat, please just can you please write that you can hear me? A little sound check here. Don't be afraid. Some people already left. Don't be afraid. It's not Halloween. People think it's Halloween. It's March. It's spring. Got my Jedi robes for this special occasion. I tell you, there's going to be a Jedi gathering in the Taino way. Let me see. If anyone could write in the chat that you can hear me. Sound check, sound check. For those that took the time, it's pretty late. ¿Me puede escuchar, Maribel Ramos? ¿Me puede escuchar? Let's get a second confirmation. Can you hear me? Want to make sure the sound is good. Perfecto. Okay, we got someone here from the Dominican Republic. Excellent. Anybody from New York? Anybody from somewhere in the Turtle Island? Anyone from Coquiland? It's not Halloween, I promise. Even though Halloween is a cool time, right? Please write in the comments if you like Halloween. All right, just a little intro. Hello, I can hear you. Hey, Jennifer, what's up? I promise it's not Halloween. All right, thank you for double checking. We got triple check. Hey, Kiana, what's up? We got Bon in the house. We got Kay in the house. We got Monty Bay. We got a whole bunch of people here. Thank you. Hey, it's going to be a fun night. Taino Jedi style. I think I'm the only one in the whole wide world, in the history of Taino world, that Little Moon. Hey, so happy I could catch this stream. Oh, awesome. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for not thinking I'm completely crazy. Maybe I am for wearing my Jedi robes, but I do. I was recently gifted with these Jedi robes, so I guess now I'm a Jedi Master. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi style. And there's the, I got the belt too. I got the Obi-Wan belt. One of my favorite characters. And Jillian had gifted me with this recently at the Judson Church. We did a little event there. You can catch that rerun on Taino Fun House. So today I'm going to share something kind of crazy. And if anyone likes crazy, well, here you are. How does the Jedi, the Star Wars character of Jedi, or the Jedi Order have anything to do with Taino spirituality or culture and so on? Well, I know a lot of Taino people, a lot of indigenous people in general who enjoy the Star Wars franchise for the story that it portrays. And one of the things that I find very encouraging in the Star Wars franchise that it talks about the Force. And that's one thing that we as indigenous peoples can understand and relate to, that there is a force. Sometimes we call it the Great Spirit, or we call it the ultimate, the Great Spirit, and so on, Creator. If anyone has any other terms that's connected to the Force, then you can write in the comment section. But one of the first terms that I learned was the Great Spirit, you know. In the Taino way, we call it Yaya, who is this supreme principle, the first. That's Yaya when you translate it from the Taino, the ultimate principle, number one. When you translate it as well, is the spirit of spirits. So he is the number one spirit. Um, yeah, little moon. All right. Yaya, exactly. Yaya, that's great. I have here an amulet necklace that was created by my cousin Yadira, and if you can tell, there's a circle there, and there's the circle in the middle, and it represents this whole concept of the sacred hoop, the sacred circle, and you find this in all cultures throughout the world. The symbol of the circle. Um, it's a powerful symbol that kind of it shows. Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, you did this. It shows the force in the circle. And you look at the mathematics, the circle is a perfect symbol of that, of volume, of wholeness. And the native peoples, indigenous peoples, our ancestors knew about this. You see it in Atabey, this whole circle concept in Atabey, right in the middle, and then she's holding two circles as well. It's the whole concept of the force. There is a power beyond what we can see with our own eyes, and yet we can understand it. Now, as a Taino, we don't use lightsabers because that's one thing that, in Star Wars, it's always like, one thing I disagree with is like, to solve your problems, to solve the ultimate problem, you take out a lightsaber. But for us Taino, a lightsaber is the sacred rattle. So this is, for our ancestors, the rattle contained the force. So again, it's a circle, right? And it used to be alive, but now it's dead. The gore used to be a live fruit that we can't eat. But check this out. I keep looking that way. It's this way. So what happened was, we put the seeds inside of the rattle, or you can put pebbles and stuff. And then it comes to life because we create rhythm. I want you guys to understand that and write that down in your notebooks. I'm going to give you some principles later. But one of the ultimate principles I want you to really hit home is the whole concept, the whole principle of rhythm. Our ancestors knew about this power. They knew about the force of the rattle, which is the force. It's something that's dead that comes to life. Okay? In Star Wars, you see how a Jedi dies, and if was truly an honorable Jedi, like Obi-Wan, he comes back to life as a force ghost. We call it the Opias, right? The spirits, Opias. We don't die. We just change. So I want you to write that down. Rhythm. Hold that concept. Rhythm and force. So today I'm going to give you an understanding of. I'm going to give you 12 principles, and this is the first principles that look at any indigenous nation or tribe throughout the history of humankind up to today. We all have this in common. Okay? Yes, the Semi. Right. The Semi is the manifestation of the force, the life force. Yokahu, Bagua Marakoti. Yokahu is the spirit of the Yuka, of the water, who had no beginning. And when you don't have a beginning, that means it's a circle. It just keeps going and going and going. There's no beginning and there's no end. There's no lineal. In an indigenous way, there's no lineal pattern. It's the circle. Excellent, little moon. Thanks for reminding me of that. So a Taino Jedi, in Star Wars, one of the things recently in the recent shows, they talked about how the Force is not just for the Jedi. The Force is everyone. Everyone has this Force in us. Now, some of us work to manifest it into the world, to help others. And this is the Jedi. In our Taino tradition, it was the Behikes. To be a Behike meant that you work on yourself You work with the plants, you work with the medicines, and you bring that force, that life force, into others so they can cure, so they can be cured or healed. Or in the connection to the Cohoba, the DMT that's contained in the Cohoba, you can travel to the spirit world and come back. And you can help other people with the knowledge that you learn. Man, that's the force. And I know George Lucas studied these things. He studied these ancient ways of the Tao, Buddhism and so on. It's all connected. This is ancient knowledge. So I'm going to go back to the ancient world, bring it back to us, and there's 12 principles. Life force energy, exactly. So here's the first principle from the very beginning when humans started articulating this in ceremonies and rituals and so on. Um, there's this whole concept. I want you to think about the concept of the journey, okay? Especially the journey of the hero, of the heroine, um, where you go into a forest. It's dark, it's scary, and you have to connect to your feelings, but not so much attached to the fear. Embrace the fear, but you need to continue on your journey. Okay? So you learn, but you continue on. And then at the end, you're out the forest and the sunshine comes back. That's the hero's journey, the heroine's journey. Joseph Campbell talks about this when he learned the history of indigenous peoples throughout the world, the hero's journey. And that was passed down to the Middle Ages and so on. So the first principle, I want you to write this down if anyone has a notebook or your laptops, whatever. The first principle is wholeness. Our ancient peoples have realized that when you look at the world, the first principle that we come in contact when we start our journey is that everything is connected. Everything's connected. And to understand anything, to understand something, is to understand that there is an interconnectedness. So when you see a beautiful tree, right? Huge, say it's an apple tree. That tree was a seed. And that seed, in connection with the sun and the rain, it manifested eventually into a tree. And that tree blossoms into flowers, into fruits, and that's the life force. So there is an interconnectedness. My mom, my dad, in their first embrace, their first kiss, eventually it connected to a baby. I was the firstborn. So that kiss manifested into a baby. And now I'm here in this world because of that first kiss, that first embrace, that first interconnectedness that we find in human sexuality, that human expression of being co-creators. See, we're given this gift of that life force, the male and the female. When you put it together, you have this. And this creates life. Now, if you're in a relationship that's, the same gender or whatever, you can still create a life force. When you adopt a child or the life force of one another, it's that interconnectedness. You need the other to create life, be it love or whatever. This is amazing, that interconnectedness. Principle number 2. What our ancient peoples, what they witness in their own eyes and their lives, is that everything, the whole world, is about change. Nothing stays the same. So creation is in constant flux, like the river, right? There's always a movement. Give me a perfect example. Birth. Everyone in this world, we may not remember our birth, but our parents did. Birth, life, we're all living our lives, right? Everyone's trying their best to manifest our, our visions, our dreams, our goals. We're living. Okay, we have to eat, we have to sleep, we have to go to the bathroom. And everyone, I don't know what time it was going to be, I don't know what date, but everyone is going to experience death. And then eventually, according to the life force, according to our ancient teachings, this life, this death continues, constant change. For myself, I want to, when I die, I want my family to bury me in a tree pot, a little baby tree pot, in which my nutrients, I don't want chemicals in me. I want my nutrients to manifest, to change that little baby tree into eventually a big tree where the birds can come and so on. See, there's constant change. So I really don't die. Our life force really does not die. Energy continues. So that's change, okay? Now, principle number 3 that our ancestors understood, and kind of you see this in the Star Wars franchise, from the Jedi and so on. Yeah, you heard of those before, exactly. That in life, there's patterns, there's cycles, okay? And I just mentioned birth, life, death, the afterlife. These are cycles, okay? And there's one thing that our ancient peoples understood in this third principle of cycles. Nothing is an accident. Okay? Nothing is an accident. Nothing is random. Because it goes back to the original principle of interconnectedness. Everything's connected. So it doesn't matter. But it does matter. Why? Because everything is connected. Now, in this cycle of life, there's patterns, and these patterns is difficult at times to understand. And I'm an expert at this. I can testify. People that know me can testify. Like, what? Really? Man, I just don't understand that. We ask ourselves these questions, because sometimes we can't see the interconnectedness in things or in the universe. Sometimes it goes over our head because maybe we're focused on too many things and we really don't center ourselves on the interconnectedness. So when you're confused, when you don't see what's going on around you, like, why is all these things happening to me? Guess what? You got to sit down, calm down, maybe meditate, do a ritual, but you have to look at the interconnectedness of things, okay? You just look at my notes here a little bit. So in our journey, we're going to have limits. But when we confront those limits, we have to chill out. In the Jedis, I love this in Star Wars, where they do the meditation, they meditate. They try to be one with the force, the fabric of life, everything, the air, the stones, the water, people, animals, connecting to the animals. So when things get difficult, we have to stop. And when we stop, we're looking at the interconnectedness of things. And this is how our ancestors, the indigenous peoples, that's when they created ceremonies. They try their best to look at the connections. Principle number 4. One thing that our ancestors understood as well, and this is 4, there's stuff that we can see, and there's stuff that we cannot see. Exactly, cycles. Birth, life, death, rebirth. Yes. So in principle number 4, there's things that we can see and there's things that we cannot see. And this is what we call, there is a physical part of our existence and there's a spiritual part of our existence. And each area or each force, physical and spiritual, has laws that we have to obey. Why do we have to obey? It's not a matter of punishment. Well, sometimes it could be. I'll give you an example. If you go into a forest and if you don't know anything about mushrooms or plants, you can eat a poisonous mushroom and you're dead. Or you can eat a poisonous plant and you're dead. So you have to obey the laws of nature, okay? In the physical realm, okay? In the spiritual realm, there's also laws that you have to honor, okay? To be a spiritual person, what does that mean? It means a lot of things. I know for me personally, to be a spiritual person is first, you have to start with yourself, do some inner work. And then, once you pretty much understood who you are as an individual, then you can start helping others. So there's laws you have to fulfill and follow. Then that leads us to principle number 5. The ancient peoples, they've realized that we as human beings, once again, we're physical and we're spiritual. But guess what? We're also mental and we're also emotional. So whatever I witness in the world, I'm going to have an emotion to it. So you might meet someone for the first time and you can feel their energy, and that makes you feel happy. Okay? See? So there's a dynamic going on. Sometimes when things don't go our way and we don't see the interconnectedness in things in the world, we start feeling anxious. Sometimes if things get out of control, we might get depression. And this is where the mental health aspect comes in. So our ancestors understood that our relationship to each other and to the world can cause anxiety and it can cause depression, especially if we reject it. Especially if we reject it from a tribe. And this leads us to the story of Yayael, as a Taino. Yayael did not obey these natural laws, right? And you can tell in the stories when Yaya said, he tried to punish him by expelling him. Hey, April, what's up? Natives supporting natives. Here we are. So when Yayael was expelled, he was given a second chance of trying to figure it out. See, sometimes we have to go away to figure out what went wrong. And according to the story, when Yayael comes back, he came back before the punishment and Yaya had to kill him. Now, these stories are not literal. So please don't understand that Yaya is this killer guard or this killer force. Basically, Yayael couldn't make the connections, and that causes death. Okay, that's my interpretation. He went away, took a time out, but he did not he couldn't make the connectiveness, so he died. According to the story, he was killed. But it doesn't stop there. The pattern continues, the cycle. Many years later, thank you, April, for sharing. Many years later, he asked his wife to bring down the gourd because he missed his son, and they were very happy about that. The wife was very happy. Hey, all right, what's up, April? It's the former. We got to do a return show, Taino Radio. Lakota representation right there from Nebraska. So basically, Yayael turned into water and fish. And fish is the representation of culture for the Taino people. Fish represents the Taino culture. Protein, very important, protein. Gives us strength, it gives us muscle, it gives us the opportunity to live on. So there you go. Again, it's these life principles. Principle number 6. For some reason in life, and our ancient peoples caught this right away. In life, it's hard, man. It's difficult. Life is difficult. And to obtain new gifts, to obtain new knowledge, you're going to struggle. And that's guaranteed. So as human beings, I guess we're not like our animal relatives who have this instincts of doing things and living in a good way. We have to learn it from our parents. We have to learn it from our relatives. We have to go to school. We have to find work, and we learn from our bosses and so on. And sometimes those experiences are not positive for us. But guess what? Remember we mentioned about the patterns, about the cycles? If we do it right, if we do it correctly, we're going to learn from our mistakes or from the struggles. And that's how we obtain new gifts. And it takes courage. It takes courage to be a Jedi, a Taino Jedi or Indigenous Jedi. It takes courage to be the one to say, hey, man, there's principles in our life. It doesn't mean you're going to take a gun or a knife and kill someone because you disagree with that person. No, 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 no. It takes courage to teach other people through our example to say, hey, I might dress weird and stuff, but I come in a good way, good heart. I want to help you. And that's what true learning is all about. And indigenous peoples, they realize this. And what did they realize? That all of us have an inner voice. And that inner voice, no. Oh, can someone in, I don't know, Caribbean? Oh, the chat just left. Caribbean, Carib. Yeah, the Spanish kind of gave a bad, terrible understanding of Carib as cannibals and so on. It's not true. It's not true. I should do a show on that. Give me a good idea, April. So true learning is listening to that inner voice that comes from the life force. And this is what the Jedi and the Star Wars, this is what George Lucas understood from the ancient cultures, is that the life force comes from within, the inner voice. So principle number 6, it's going to be hard. You're going to struggle. You're going to fail. But guess what? Your inner voice will never fail you. So you have to really pay attention. To who? To yourself first. April, guess what? You're going to love this part. This is the sacred hoop. The 7th principle, and this is what indigenous peoples here in the north taught me through when I went to powwows, went to ceremonies, is that true learning is represented in the four cardinal directions, the sacred hoop, right? For us, again, it's the Atabey circle. So there's 4 cardinal directions. There's the east, there's the south, there's the west, there's the north, there's the in-betweens, up, above, below, the center. So, and for us, like, as I mentioned before, Yaya is right in the middle, the spirit of spirits, all of creation, right? Deminon, Karakor, will represent in the creation stories. He and his 3 brothers are the 4 directions. Okay, the 4 directions. Hold on a second, I'm a little lost here. So, for human beings to really live a good, a positive lifestyle, a constructive lifestyle, is, remember I mentioned about the 4 aspects of a human being: physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional. Well, guess what? This is what rhythm is all about. The sacred hoop, the circle, right? It's that spinning motion. It's not the line, beginning and end. It's the sacred circle. This is why, this is our lightsaber right here. This is our lightsaber. So when you put all the 4 dimensions together, you're going to have balance. You're going to have rhythm. Right? Actually, hold on a second. Let me get my other rattle. Now this rattle is kind of rattle that I practice with, and I have the 4 directions there to remind me. So this one is a lot longer. I use this for dancing. So you always got to find your rhythm, your rhythm. So what I do, I always play with the different sounds and rhythms. You know, it's very important. to do that. That's why 2 rattles is excellent. Yes, the fire, water, air, earth, definitely. So for us, you hear about this all the time. We have to live in balance, but guess what? Once you live in balance, that means you're in rhythm. And sometimes it's hard to stay in rhythm. Why? Because you got to pay attention and don't step on toes. Well, sometimes you have to, right? Principle number 8. I'm going to talk about the spiritual dimension now, okay? The spiritual dimension. Hold on a second. There's 4 aspects. Frequency, yes. There's 4 aspects I'm going to talk about of the four levels of spiritual dimension. And this is found, I found this in the sacred tree. Hold on a second. Oh, there's a dog out there. I don't know if you heard the bark. Hey, what's up, buddy? This is a great book that you can find. It's called The Sacred Tree. This was written in the 1980s. Excellent book. And it talks about the circle and how the tree represents, creation. From the seed to the tree to the canopy. Hey, doggy is trying to take over. Interconnectedness, right? So I'm gonna dedicate a show on definitely how the Amazonian natives brought that concept to the Caribbean, and how that whole sacred tree, and up in north they have the same understanding, ancient knowledge, right? As spiritual people, right? As a spiritual person, we have to embrace there's certain things we're not gonna see. We're not gonna see it. It's invisible, and that's all right. We don't have to know everything. We don't have to touch everything. We don't have to see everything, but we have to understand that it's there. Okay, that the world is spiritual as well as physical. That's right. Universal language. So sometimes this unseen reality in the spiritual realm manifests in visions and dreams and ideas, spiritual teachings. Sometimes we get that aha moment, goals that we set. See, we can see the future, but we can't touch it yet. But we can see it, And that's amazing. That's that spiritual realm. Okay? That's why visions, right? In Lakota way, they talk about the vision quest, crying for a vision. That's it. We don't see it, but we know it exists. Once we understand it. Okay, the second level of spirituality is that you need to have a capacity to accept different realities, okay? And one of those realities in the spiritual realm is the great unknown. And this is where courage comes in. You have to trust your abilities. You have to trust the life force. You're not alone. You're not meant to do this alone. There's that interconnectedness, okay? And this is where the ancient peoples understood that there is a power of the potential, okay? Like the seed. When we grow this seed, when we plant the seed, eventually that seed is going to blossom if we grow, if we put water and sunlight, nutrients. There's the potential. We know the potential because we've seen it before. And this is our spirituality. This potential. You can move spiritually. You know it can happen. You've seen it in others. You've seen it in your visions and your dreams. You know it can happen. Which leads us to the third principle, or the third realm of spirituality, is that, man, what's cool is that even though we can't see it, we can't touch it, we somehow can understand the unknown, and that's where language comes in. We can talk, we can draw beautiful paintings, we can draw beautiful art pieces, which is, we're creating, man. We're co-creating just like God, just like the spirit of spirits, the force. Even mathematics, it's very difficult for me to do mathematics And it's funny, when I first started experiencing the sacred medicines like ayahuasca and jojoba, the first thing I saw was geometrical designs. You know, the circles, the triangles, the rectangles. Yep, like here, we can't see it, but we believe it. Exactly. So math is a perfect example of, it's something that you have to, 2 plus 2 equals 4. But when a child understands that concept of 1 plus 1 is 2, bam, we can see it. The fourth level of spirituality is there is future action. The future will hold action. You gotta know it. That's right. You gotta know it. That's right. So the future means that we're applying these principles. That we started with a vision, and you know it's gonna come true. You just know it's gonna come true, and that's the whole force of spirituality. That the unseen will become reality, or it is reality. It is reality. Give me a second. I'm kind of lost in my notes here. Okay, so principle number 9. Whew. It appears that in our someone's trying to call me. Hold on a second. Wow, this never happened before. I forgot to shut the phone part. This is very difficult to explain. Number 9. I guess this is like the unseen part. We need to be active, okay? In our spirituality, it's the first-hand experience the spirit is looking for. All right. So to unfold, to bring forth life through the life force, to bring that art piece, to create that semi, to create a child, we have to understand that we have to be active participants. You just can't sit there and anticipate something to happen. You're an active agent. You have to unfold that potentiality. You have to unfold it. It's action. It's like the river, right? The river does not stay still. Be water, my friend. Principle number 10. Now, this is what I like. And this is where a lot of people get stuck. Number 10. There seems to be, and our ancestors kind of figured this one out too. And a lot of the medicine people that are very successful in the healing rites and so on, or in the teachings, is that they made a decision. And the decision is, hey, I want to be, I feel like I'm being called to heal people. Or, I'm being called to teach. Or I'm called to be a parent. Or I'm called to be a servant to the people, So you have to make a decision. You can't just say, I'm just going to sit here, just chill out. Let the world work itself out. Once you make that decision of who you are, what's your role in the world, the ancient mothers, the ancient grandmothers, this was kind of their role to help the children realize their potential. That's why grandmother councils are awesome. They chose the chiefs. They chose the medicine people because they saw it. They knew it. And with that comes patience. Infinite patience. You see this in the teachings of the ancient peoples. You got to be patient. What's the rush? Just be there. Do the work. And eventually, it's going to happen. Okay? Eventually. You see in Star Wars when the Jedi, they talk about floating rocks to move rocks, and they meditate there and the stones start moving and they start floating. Well, that's the whole concept. Be patient. It takes years. Okay? 11th principle. We're almost there, guys. 11th principle. Be patient, right? Once you decide, yeah, this is my gift to the world. Principle number 11 is commitment. You're going to commit yourself to the cause. You're going to commit yourself to whatever you chose. And that's when the teacher appears. When you make that commitment after the decision, yes, it does require discipline. You know, in Star Wars, you see the Jedi, they're very dogmatic in how they prepare, you know, and that was their downfall too. You know, so you got to be fluid. You got to be fluid. You got to be like that river. Change is important. Don't get stuck. So commitment means you will be ready for that teacher to appear. And the teacher can appear in many forms. It could be a child. It could be an elder. It could be your wife, your husband, your lover, whatever. But guess what? Once you make that commitment, I guarantee you, maybe you experience this, the world, the universe will bring the teacher to you. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You heard that adage before, right? And let me get to the last principle. And this is very comical. I always laugh at this. When you fail as a Jedi, when you fail as an individual, when you fail yourself and others, guess what that means? You did not follow the principles. You forgot about change. You forgot about the interconnectedness. And many people fall into this trap. You know, you start being, hey, I'm a great medicine person, you know. Yeah, and now I could charge people, you know. I could, yeah, man, yeah, I saw that person healed. So, wow, I got this whole following now. Yeah, it's going to be $5,000 retreats now I can charge. Whoa, you know, get some fancy robes, you know. We forget, man. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. Okay? It's about us. So failure means you kind of disconnected. So guess what? Just like Ed, right? You gotta go away, chill out. What did I do wrong, or what happened? What did I misunderstand something? Misunderstood, or you know? Don't beat yourself. It just means you gotta chill out. A true Jedi, right? You meditate. Maybe you need to play your rattle. Or maybe you need to invite a relative or someone to sit with you, cook them a good dinner, you know? And try to connect again to the source. Connect again to the life force, you know? The life force, the circle, that's the Yaya, the ultimate principle of the life force, and then in the middle, that's us, man. That's the potential. That's that seed, the seed. Now, I do want to mention something. This is a little theory that I've been thinking about for a while with this sacred who concept. I believe in a Taino way. You know, we have two sacred beings, which is Atabey, the Divine Mother, and then she gave birth to a son, Yokahu. Um, I believe this is us in the middle. This is the physical realm, the who we are, the earth. You know, the earth, Atabey, physical. And then we know that Atabey has many names, and part of her names, like Suimako and so on, relates to the moon. So I believe this is an orbit. An orbit. This is the moon cycle, which relates to our emotions and our mental health. And this is what I believe the whole concept our ancestors in the Caribbean understood. And I don't know about the Lakotas, maybe you can remind me, but this whole life force, this whole sense of the orbit, that interconnectedness. The earth it needs the moon, the tidal waves. In a Taino way, a farmer cannot grow yucca until the moon is waning. Okay? So this is the knowledge that our ancestors understood, connected to the moon. So for me, this whole concept of the circle and the dot in the middle and Atabey, this is the whole concept of this whole interconnectedness. It's the circle. We're all interconnected. Earth, moon, that whole movement, like the river. Jedi Master Sanakori, what's up? So, so for me, I think it's important to understand that, hey, be yourself. Be yourself. And one example for me, I love Star Wars. I'm always watching the movies. I don't like so much the violence because it kind of teaches that wars, solutions are come about through violence and stuff. But the struggle is the interconnectedness. When Obi-Wan Kenobi, in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, when he come, okay, this is hold on a second. Oh, no one's behind or without. That's right. In the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, there was there's a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Pause it right here or fast forward. There was a confrontation between Anakin as Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was the first time they actually met after their duel in Mustafar when Darth Vader got burned and left to die. He didn't die. Shows resilience on his part, the will to live. So Obi-Wan Kenobi was petrified. Circle is powerful, yes. So they fought. And there was one scene in there that was kind of powerful that Obi-Wan Kenobi's crying because he realized his failures. He failed to remain connected with his student, Anakin. And Anakin looked at him with his helmet all busted up. He says, no, you didn't kill me. I killed myself. So at that moment he realized, hey, I made the decision of self-destruction, not you. So here's two characters in conflict with one another who were once like father and son, or brothers, I should say. So life is not easy, man. We're gonna make so many mistakes, and we're gonna hurt people. We're gonna hurt people, and in hurting people, we hurt ourselves. So if anyone's watching this right now, either now or in the future, that if I offended you in any way, hey, I'm here to tell you I'm going to try my best to do what I can to stay connected to the source. The force be with you. Exactly. So the force is all around us. Like, hey, oh man, I just remember this. April, you can testify to this. The famous medicine man, Fang Fu Scroll, cured every disease imaginable. Was there during Wounded Knee occupation. He helped the American Indian movement, brothers and sisters. He was their spiritual leader. And when they ask him, what is power? What is power? I'm sorry. Who is God? Who is God? Who is this great spirit? And he says, God is power. It's all around us. It's above us, to the side, below, in us, in you. So again, that interconnectedness, the circle. Whoa, kama, yokahu, bagwamaro, goti. Whoa, kama, Atabey suimako, Atabey suimako, mamoda, yokahu, So I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and be ready. You're spiritual. I'm spiritual. We're also physical. We're emotional. We're mental. But we need one another to survive. We need one another to live. We can do this. Okay? We can do this. Thank you. Jedi Master Sanakori right here. I'd like to thank you all for being with me tonight. God bless you all for sharing. God bless you. Yeah, I needed this too, April. Wow. Peace out, man. Thank you, Kiana. Peace out. And yeah, we'll do what we can do. We'll do our best. Pumatum, thank you. And Bo Watukan, blessings. Thank you, Little Moon. Awesome. Good job. You guys are great. This is the lightsaber. Get yourself a rattle. If you need one, let me know. I'll get you one. Good night.